Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the FGA Report. I am Brian Smith, and today's episode is the preliminary look at the top skill position players in the class of 23 within the state of Florida. I have several different kids on my list, and I actually just posted on Twitter, hey, I just finished a page, and I could show it, but I'm not even close to done, and it's running back, receiver, and the defensive secondary that I'm talking about when I say skill player. I've got like 25 names on this page. I'm not even close to guys that I think that could play at the absolute upper echelon of college football. And it's a good problem to have, but I was like, well, let's see if I can narrow this down to a 10 somewhere to 25 list. And I was going through and I added some other kids. And the answer is no, not yet, at least. There are two or three that are kind of obvious at each position that'll be in that top 25. I think I'm just going to do that for skill position. Then I'll do some for O-line, D-line, linebacker. That's a little more specific. But skill guys in Florida, traditionally, when they go to college, I'd say at least a third of them end up playing a different position because they're so versatile. Track athletes, they're flexible, they're fast, and they can fill needs where a team has a hole. If you need a running back, move him to running back. If you need him at DB, move him to DB. Take a running back, move him to corner, whatever it is. But this list in 23, in all the years that I've covered the state of Florida, and I'd hinted at this last year, is as deep as I can ever remember the defensive backfield. Give you an example. Eddie Pleasant is a corner out of Carrollwood Day. It's a small school in Tampa. He's getting a ton of offers. I know his coach. I know his staff. I live in Tampa. I've seen a lot of these kids. When I go out to watch them practice, and I've seen him several times, he's one of several kids just on that roster that are like a Georgia, Florida kind of kid. If they all lined up and ran, if I didn't see their faces, I wouldn't even know who it is because there's so many good ones, and some of them are underclassmen, younger than Eddie. But that's just an example. This state has athletes beyond anything I've ever seen right now. 23 is great, and 24 and 25 are great as well. So with that, I'm going to talk about 5 to 8 kids that I'm pretty positive, barring injury, barring something unforeseen, that, hey, this kid is elite. He's proven it, and that's that. But then those other spots, there's a few kids that I talk about in the article at Inside the Knights that I'm going to put this podcast in that goes into a little bit of information. Cedric Hawkins or somebody like that out of Cocoa. Great program, by the way. But by and large, the final list is a long way from being done, and I probably won't do it until June after I've seen the entirety of 7-on-7, like Under Armour, opportunities for some smaller camps, private workouts that I will most certainly go to and also create. There's one I'm going to do in the greater Pensacola to Mobile area in early March. I've already got it set it up. So there's plenty of opportunities to see these young men play. Now, before I hit this list, do note, this is not in any particular order. Not an order. That's what it's going to be. These 8 or so I haven't even put in order yet definitively because it's just that hard. This is a great year. If I had to pick, it'd be guys that I've seen more of, and that's not really fair. Cormani Mcqueen, I kind of live close to him. Jalen Brown, I've seen a lot of his film and I've seen him play live. Same thing with Brandon Inniss. That's, it's not even fair. Those are obvious guys anyway. They could be the top 3 players in Florida, no problem. But I've seen them more than some other kids, so I want to give them a chance before I put down a definitive list 1 through 25 for skill guys. So with that, here are the guys that I want to talk about. Cedric Baxter, he's lost a little bit of weight. He's leaned out, and he's still just a great-looking specimen. He plays in Orlando for Edgewater High School. I think he is the best, quote-unquote, all-around running back in the country. It depends on what you're looking for your offense. But he catches the ball really well for a big kid. He's at least 6'1", not 6'2", and he will thump you. National recruit, can pick his school, all of that. I love Cedric's all-around game, and you could play him, hypothetically, at wide receiver. I don't remember the last time I said I could take a downhill kid and put him out wide and just let him literally play receiver for that game. Now, I don't know why any coach would do that, but physically he's capable. So somebody to think about there. He could top the list by the end of the season. Cedric Baxter, love his game, good kid, and he always plays hard. For a guy that's old school, that means a lot to me. So Baxter's definitely on the list. Inniss and Jalen Brown, if you don't have them on your list, you're idiots. If you don't know who they are, go watch their huddle. It's self-explanatory. I wrote a long article about Brandon this morning. He's one of the most unique players I've ever scouted because of what he has right here. God gifted him, but he has taken it to the next level because of his desire to watch what the competition does and then to manipulate it thereafter. Jalen is what I call zoom zoom. He's one of the fastest kids I've ever seen in pads on a football field with or without the football. He stops and starts like other kids only wish they could do, and he can make cuts even though he's over 6 foot. He's around 6'1", like a kid that's 5'9". Great problems to have. Those two are locks along with Baxter to kind of be on this list. Another one of the kids that I really love, and he probably is so sick of recruiting, it's not even funny, but he developed early, is Richard Young down at Lehigh High School on the edge of Fort Myers. He is the prototypical one cut, here I come, get out of the way or you will be a gnat hit by a Mack truck running back. 200 pounds of muscle. And Richard's a great guy, quiet, all that. But when he's on the field, he is all business. So, again, he can go wherever, Alabama, Ohio State, you name it. He can go wherever. A lot of fun to watch him play, and I've seen him play live. I've seen him practice. He's just a guy. He's just a guy that personifies what you think of in Florida, kids that are just motivated to be the best. And again, like some of these other kids, God gifted him in a way with muscles that I got cheated out of. I can tell you that. And he is going to be a long time college and most likely professional player. This is one of the kids that I need to see more of. So I want to mention him kind of up front. I've heard a lot about him, and he's recently committed to Ohio State University. That's Cedric Hawkins. He's a safety out of Cocoa. I've seen his film several times, but he's either not been at the tournament I was, etc., and I've never had a chance to concentrate on him. He's a safety out of Cocoa. Film is off the charts. He's great. He's instinctive. He's fast. He's strong. I need to see him live. That's one of my short list guys for this year to see. Tyler Williams, a kid I know a lot better because he lives closer to me. I'm on the west coast of Florida in Tampa. He's in Lakeland. It's about 35 minutes for me. He is a dude. And here's the funny thing about him. He's just getting started. He was a basketball kid. He's still playing basketball. His physical maturity will take place just growing up to be a man, but he's also going to have a different physical maturity in terms of how he grows out, gets bigger once he stops basketball because he burns so many calories. He's the kind of kid that can jump up and dunk on you and is a very, very gifted player when the ball is in a 50-50 situation. But even though he's about 6'4", he can run around you too, make a guy miss, stop and start in the middle of the field and make multiple players fall down or miss. And these are Polk County kids. So Tyler Williams is very, very good. Darren Goldie Lawrence, I talked about him a lot. He's from Seminole High School. It's one of my favorite programs in the state of Florida. They always have guys that play hard. He's part of what they call Bokie. That area around Sanford is just, the kids just are blue collar and they want to get it done. It's a lot like Cocoa. You're not going to outwork those kids. They're going to get it done. And he's kind of the personified measurement of what that program is trying to be year in and year out across the board. And he is a very physical presence. He's got a defensive mentality, but plays receiver mostly. He's played some safety for Certified Dogs, and I'm sure he'll play both ways at some point next year for Seminole. I mean, he's probably played a little bit for them already. Long term, though, I think he's a receiver. Really strong kid, starting to physically mature. He's similar to Brandon Inniss in terms of the kind of physicality that he brings to the game. Love to watch Darren play, and he's a good kid. Now, a few of these next kids that I'm going to bring up are probably not as well known by some people that may think they know the state of Florida, but they're dudes. And sometimes you're like Brandon Inniss was a dude when he was going into ninth grade. He was physically stronger than a lot of kids his age, and that's fine. Aiden Mazzell is at Boone High School. He can fly. Alabama just offered. If you need any questions, call Nick Saban. There's another kid, Bryson Rogers, not that far from me at Wiregrass Ranch. Alabama offered him last fall. 6'2", 6'3", can fly. You have kids at that kind of height that are motivated and they have that kind of speed. Yes, they are potential top 25 player skill position in the state of Florida, maybe top 5, top 10. This year, it's really hard to crack into that list, though. So we'll see. I know them pretty well from the teams they play with. I'm kind of curious to see what happens this year. Elliot Washington, I was just messaging with him on Twitter, and I want to make a note on his behalf. I mean, I literally just got it 5 minutes ago. Elliot said, I'm a corner. I've never played anything but corner, but some of these services, because of my height, have listed me at safety. He made it perfectly clear he's only ever played cornerback for Venice High, who just won 8A state championship here in the state of Florida. Works for me. He's another one of those kids with a ton of SEC offers. I believe Bama is one of them. That's kind of the barometer. If Nick offers you and you're a DB, he's a DB coach by trade, yeah, that kind of matters. Great kid, great player. Make sure I don't miss anybody. This list is just incredible. Another kid that just doesn't get a lot of attention because he's at a small school in the Panhandle. Amari Borden. He plays at Monroe Day School, about 20 minutes west of Tallahassee. 6'2", 6'3", can really run. He works with a top-notch trainer in Tallahassee. I don't think you're going to find many kids like him anywhere in general, and he's got a lot of room to grow. His upside's tremendous. Well-spoken, good student, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be hard to shove him in the top 20, and he's going to have offers to programs across the country. That's the kind of depth we're talking about in the state of Florida. And again, that off-the-field stuff, this matters here too. Daquayvious Sorey, right down the road from him, probably another 30 minutes west at Chipley, small school. When he walks onto the field, you would think he's 20-plus years old. Abs on abs, just svelte, and a yes sir, no sir kid, currently committed to the Georgia Bulldogs, but he has just immense talent. Could play linebacker or wide receiver. He's that kind of physical kid, and his change of direction for a 6'2", 195 guy is absolutely tremendous. Love watching Sorey play. That area, by the way, is very under-recruited. The Panhandle needs more attention right off I-10. Looking at the list overall, it'd be hard not to talk about Sam Singleton and some of the Jacksonville kids. Jeremiah Shack is at Mandarin. He's a really good football player. Another big-bodied receiver, kind of like Borden, a little stronger. He's a kid that's an elite player. Sam Singleton is at Fleming Island. I saw him last year in the Kickoff Classic against Westside in Jacksonville. He's a one-cut-and-go, great kid, pretty well-spoken, pretty chill personality. He could fit in any school in the country. He could be at Stanford or Miami, and he could make it. He's the kind of guy I want on my football team. It also helps that he runs by a lot of guys in the state of Florida. Sam is a pretty well put together kid, to put it mildly, and he still has a little room to grow. He can play at a little over 200 pounds once he reaches the collegiate level. Sam is one of those kids that probably gets overlooked because he's up in Jacksonville, but he shouldn't be. While I'm on running backs, this is just a personal preference. Jamari Ford plays at Northwestern. I saw him play with the Immortals last weekend. And this little note to running backs out there, whether you're 6 years old or whether you're 17, if you cannot consistently catch the ball out of the backfield and make the first defender miss, your value is greatly decreased. Jamari does not have that problem. Watching him, the first guy is probably saying to himself, uh-oh, he's got more than a yard or so in front of me. It's going to be hard to tackle him or even touch him. And he would be right. Jamari is not the tallest guy, not the biggest guy, but he's pretty rocked up, and his feet are electric. That's the kind of kid we're seeing more of. And another kid right down the road from him at Norland, Simpkins, same kind of deal. Not necessarily the biggest guys, but man, they're hard to tackle. And in today's world where everything goes horizontally, you put a 5'9", 175 guy in the slot and the defense is in man, and you put a linebacker on him, it's 1st and 10 again. If it's not a situation where there's a touchdown scored and the band is playing. You have to be very careful. The value of running backs is completely changing in how it is graded. You got to be able to block better than ever because quarterbacks, there's no way around it. It's the most important position, and then you must be able to catch. Richard and Cedric are really good football players, but they catch the ball. That's why I got them so high. You have to be able to do that. These kids can. This is a really deep year. Naples, they have 3 or 4 guys. Naples, which is an area that doesn't get any attention, that are really good running backs. Raphael Kendrick is a kid I'm going to interview again. But all the kids, there's a kid at Ridge. It's insane. Running back in this state is on a major uptick too. And if it wasn't for just a historical year at the wide receiver position in Florida, I'd be talking about running back in that sense. But keep that in mind. It is a deep, deep list. The most interesting player, arguably, in the state is Cormani Mcqueen, the kid at Lake Gibson, and he's going to play receiver or corner, maybe a little both at the college level. But Cormani, while he's gotten stronger, is just an example. And I'm using him because most people know who he is. 6'1" to 6'3" corners, usually play safety. Here in the last 5 to 10 years, not just in Florida, but across the country, we're seeing more basketball, baseball, track kids at least give football a try. And some of these kids are starting a little bit early. It's not just junior or senior year. It's 8th grade, 9th grade. And it may take a while. Well, some of these kids are catching on, and all of a sudden, ooh, Eddie Pleasant, the kid I mentioned at the beginning from Carrollwood Day, is that kid, just as an example. He's starting to get, Big Ten offers, ACC offers. It's just incredible. He's about 6'1", if I remember right. The last time I saw Eddie, it's been a few months, but that's just a barometer of it as well. Just in the greater Tampa area, there's Dejon Johnson as well at Wharton. There's conservatively from Lakeland to here, 4 or 5 corners that could play at Florida. That's just in 2 counties. Conservatively, Jeremiah Anglin, etc. There are a bunch of guys. And that's just in 23. 24 has a few kids as well that I know of. And that's just corner. That's not counting running back. That's not counting receiver. That's not counting safety. It's a lot of talent to really kind of engulf. Before I forget him, Sharif Denson. If you want a technician, he's not as big as Cormani or Dejon or a few of the other kids. Denson's give or take 5'11", 6 foot the last time I remember. But man, he's got good hand placement on how he gets on the guy early. He can run with about anybody. He can play off coverage, and he breaks on the football extremely well. Well coached, which is expected out of a Bartram Trail player in the Jacksonville area. But he's one of my favorite players to watch because I look at things through a coach's lens from talking coaches all the time. That is the kind of kid that takes coaching. And that's why he has a numerous amount of Power 5 offers. One last real quick note before I finish up with a running back that's just kind of an example of how deep it is at running back this year. There's maybe not a player in the state that I need to see again, since I'm talking about Jacksonville, any more than Kirkland. Last I remember, he was at Rains. He is a kid that is extremely long. He was playing some boundary corner at a 7-on-7 event last year. He could grow into a safety. He could play either. It's a good problem to have, to be 6'2", if not a little taller, and have the ability to flip your hips and run. He's at Rains, if I remember correctly, but Kenton Kirkland is the kind of guy that you can just never have enough of. I'm not saying he's got the same skill as Cormani yet, but he was really good the day I saw him last summer, and it's a year later. I need to see him. Last note before I finish this up, and this is just a barometer how deep it is also at running back again. Mark Fletcher. He plays at Chaminade Madonna. Oh, no, excuse me. This is a player that could play anywhere in college, first off. But Fletcher is the one-cut power runner that you think of in the Big Ten, say, 25 years ago, but he can still catch. South Florida kids like that because they're tough kids almost always. Plantation, Fort Lauderdale, Coconut Creek, whatever. That's the most important thing to note about him. And I hadn't got to him, and I'd mentioned 4 or 5 other guys, and he could go play at any of the big state schools in Florida, Georgia, etc. I don't think there's a way to personify just how important that is and how deep it is at running back. But again, receiver this year is so ridiculous. Running back's going to get a little bit less attention than it probably should. Mark could play at any school in the country. And I really don't think that, he's at American Heritage, but it wouldn't matter which school, if he was at Deerfield or whatever, it would not matter. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up, but just note that this is a special class in 23. And I'm trying to, this is just a partial list. It's not even close. I didn't even talk about like Nathaniel Joseph at Edison, who's one of the fastest players in the country. He's a receiver, and he's a guy I really respect. He's committed to Clemson. And that is just another example. The receiver group in this state is insane. Hit the like button, hit the notifications. I'm going to be doing these pretty much every day. I've got at least one interview tonight for the FGA report, and it's going to be a lot of fun between now and June, especially. There'll be multiple on a lot of days on going over film, having the kid up on the screen, talking about it. So make sure you do it. There's a reason for this, and it's just fun. If you like football in the state of Florida, this is the YouTube channel for you. I'm not going to get to see everybody, but I can at least bring them on my podcast and show you who they are, the type of person they are, and what they're about. Talk about their offers, talk about what makes them tick, their workout habits, from Brandon Inniss all the way to Raymond Cottrell, from one end of the state to the other. I'll talk to different guys, and it's for a reason, to see who's the best, not just on the field, but as a person and everything else. So with that, everybody have a great day. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.